On January 3rd, 2009, a ghost created a currency. While the global financial system was collapsing and banks were being bailed out with taxpayer money, an anonymous entity known only as Satoshi Nakamoto quietly launched a piece of software. It was an exit door, a financial system with no king, no government, and no central bank. Today, that software protects over $1 trillion in value, but the creator remains a ghost. Satoshi Nakamoto holds over 1 million Bitcoin. At current market rates, that makes him one of the richest people on earth. But here's the terrifying part. Not a single cent of that fortune has ever moved from his balance. For 13 years, the wallet has remained dormant, which leaves us with a question that haunts intelligence agencies, hackers, and billionaires alike. Is Satoshi Nakamoto dead? Is he in prison? Or is he waiting for the perfect moment to crash the economy he created? To find the answer, we have to hunt down the 3 men who held the keys to the future. Bitcoin didn't appear in a vacuum. It was the final move in a 30-year war fought by a group called the Cypherpunks. These were mathematicians, cryptographers, and privacy extremists who believed that the internet was becoming a surveillance state. Their goal was simple but dangerous. They wanted to create digital cash, money that couldn't be tracked, taxed, or frozen by any government. For decades they failed. Every attempt was shut down by the authorities or hacked into oblivion. Then in 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto appeared on their mailing list with a 9-page white paper. He claimed to have solved the impossible. Satoshi wasn't just a coder, he was a polymath. He understood economics, game theory, and advanced C++ programming. He communicated elegantly, using British spelling, but posted at times that suggested he lived in the United States. He was very careful. He used Tor browsers and VPNs. He left no digital fingerprints. Just as Bitcoin began to gain traction, he sent a final email to a fellow developer. He wrote, "I've moved on to other things," and then he vanished. But he left clues behind, and those clues point to 3 specific people. Suspect number 1 is Finney. Hal was a legendary cryptographer and the very first person to download and run Bitcoin other than Satoshi himself. On January 12, 2009, Satoshi sent the first ever Bitcoin transaction. Who was the receiver? Finney. For the first year of Bitcoin's existence, Hal and Satoshi exchanged hundreds of emails, fixing bugs and discussing the future. Many believe their conversation was made up and Hal was talking to himself to create a paper trail for a fake identity. Why? Because of a coincidence that is almost statistically impossible. Finney lived just a few blocks away from a man whose birth name was Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto. Dorian was a physicist, but he had nothing to do with crypto. The theory is that Hal needed a pseudonym. He looked through the phone book, saw his neighbor's name, and Satoshi Nakamoto was born. But if Hal was Satoshi, he took the secret to his grave. In 2009, just as Bitcoin was launching, Hal was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. As his body shut down, he spent his final years writing code with his eyes, using eye tracking software. He died in 2014 and was cryogenically frozen. But there is a flaw in the Hal theory. In their private emails, Satoshi explained things to Hal that Hal, a genius in his own right, should have already known. Unless Hal was the greatest actor in history, he was the student, not the master. If Hal was the first user, suspect number 2 was the architect, and his name is Szabo. 10 years before Bitcoin, Nick designed a system called BitGold. It was almost identical to Bitcoin in every way: decentralized, proof-of-work, digital signatures. When Satoshi wrote the Bitcoin white paper, he cited almost every major project in crypto history except BitGold. It was a glaring omission. Why would Satoshi ignore the one project that looked exactly like his own, unless he was trying to hide the connection? Forensic linguists from Aspen University analyzed the writing of Satoshi Nakamoto. They looked at sentence structure, common phrases, and quirks like using "we" instead of "I." They compared it to the writing of 11 top cryptographers. The results were overwhelming. Nick Szabo's writing style is a near perfect match for the Bitcoin white paper. Furthermore, in 2008, just before Bitcoin launched, Nick wrote on his blog that he was looking for collaborators to help him launch a live version of BitGold. Szabo has denied it repeatedly. He is a man who values privacy above all else. But there is one other candidate, a darker, more tragic figure. Len Sassaman was a prodigy. By his early 20s, he was already a legend in the cryptography world. He was an expert in remailers, technology specifically designed to hide the origin of emails, exactly the kind of tech Satoshi used. Len lived in Belgium, but he used American English. He worked closely with Finney, but the most compelling evidence isn't in the code, it's in the timeline. Satoshi was incredibly active until early 2011. Suddenly his communications became erratic. He spoke of moving on. At the exact same time, Len Sassaman was battling a severe, crippling depression. On April 23, 2011, Satoshi Nakamoto sent his final email. 2 months later, on July 3rd, Len Sassaman took his own life. After Len died, Satoshi disappeared. In the end, the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto may be the wrong question to ask. The real question is, what happens if he returns? The 1.1 million Bitcoin sitting in those wallets are not just a fortune. If those coins were to move even a single fraction of a decimal, it would trigger a global panic. The price would crash, faith in the system would shatter, and the experiment would effectively be over. If we knew who Satoshi was, he would be a point of failure. He could be forced to alter the code to suit a government or a bank. By vanishing, he performed the ultimate magic trick. He removed the human element from the equation. He made Bitcoin an immaculate conception, a technology that simply exists, owned by no one, and therefore stoppable by no one. Whether Satoshi is Finney, Nick Szabo, Len Sassaman, or a team of government agents, the result is the same. The creator is gone, and in his absence, the creation became immortal. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist, but the greatest trick Satoshi Nakamoto pulled was convincing the world he didn't matter.